$400 million. That's what Larry David is worth today. Before any of that happened, he sold defective bras, drove a limousine for a half-blind elderly woman, and once quit Saturday Night Live in a profanity-filled tirade, only to show up Monday morning pretending nothing happened. The co-creator of Seinfeld and star of Curb Your Enthusiasm has lived one of the strangest lives in entertainment history. And while you probably know his shows, there's a lot about Larry David that might genuinely surprise you. These are 10 things you probably didn't know about the man who turned social anxiety into an art form. Number 1, he sold defective bras. Before Larry David became a comedy legend, rent needed to be paid. The jobs he worked during those years read like rejected Seinfeld episode premises. Bra salesman was one of them, but not just any bras. His own words describe it best. The bras were seconds, actually. They were defective bras. That wasn't his only gig either, because he also drove limousines, worked as a paralegal, clerked at a store, drove cabs, fixed televisions, and held an actual job as a historian. All of this bouncing between jobs happened throughout his 20s and 30s, while he tried breaking into comedy, with his first stand-up set taking place at Folk City in Greenwich Village in 1974, when he was 27 years old.
Let me ask you a question. Who do you think has more freedom? The married man in America or the single man in communist China? I gotta go for the single guy in communist China. Come on, no contest, you know. I mean, I'm a married guy in America. I can leave the country, but I can't leave my house, you know. They can leave the house, but they can't leave the country. I'll go for that. I like that better. I'm not going to Europe. Where the hell am I going?
And here's the thing about his stand-up career. Larry became notorious for walking on stage, surveying the crowd, deciding he didn't like them, and walking off without saying a single word. Audiences that weren't paying attention would watch him quit mid-set. Producer Bob Wide once described watching Larry bomb. On many, many nights, the audience would just stare at him like carp looking up from a pond. Sometimes they'd be outright hostile. I would be in the back of the room, hysterical, thinking, if the country ever caught up to this guy's sense of humor, there'll be chaos in the streets. The country eventually caught up. It just took a while. Number 2, he lived across the hall from the real Kramer.
Boy, he's a weird guy, isn't he?
Hey. Yeah.
Manhattan Plaza, a federally subsidized housing complex in Hell's Kitchen, was where Larry David lived during his struggling years. His neighbor directly across the hall was a man named Kenny Kramer. Yes, that Kramer. Kenny Kramer was a real person with real quirky behavior who would walk into Larry's apartment unannounced. And the character Cosmo Kramer on Seinfeld was directly based on him. Larry and Jerry even had to get Kenny's permission to use a version of his name and personality for the show. Living in that building shaped Larry's comedy in another way, too. Brooklyn childhood memories stayed with him, particularly relatives walking in during dinner and his aunt somehow knowing about his personal life before he told anyone. That experience of zero privacy, of family constantly in your business, became the DNA of his comedy. Number 3, the legendary SNL quit and return. Saturday Night Live hired Larry David as a writer in 1984, which should have been his big break. What happened instead was a disaster. During the entire 1984 to 1985 season, exactly one sketch of Larry's made it on the air. That single sketch aired at 12:50 a.m., the worst possible time slot when most viewers had already gone to bed. Then one night, another one of his sketches got cut minutes before air. Larry exploded at producer Dick Ebersol, screaming that the show stinks, that it's a piece of garbage, that he's done, that he quits, with considerably more profanity than I can repeat here.
That's it. This is it. I'm done. Through. It's over. I'm gone. Finished. Over. I will never work for you again. Look at you. You think you're an important man? Is that what you think? You are a laughingstock. You are a joke. These people are laughing at you. You're nothing. You have no brains, no ability, nothing. I quit.
Out the door he went. Walking home that night, Larry did the math and realized he just cost himself about $60,000. His neighbor Kenny Kramer offered some advice. Go back on Monday and pretend nothing happened.
Maybe you can just go back.
Go back?
Yeah. Pretend like it never happened.
You mean just walk into the staff meeting on Monday morning like it never happened?
Sure. You're an emotional person. People don't take you seriously.
Just go back. Pretend the whole thing never happened.
Never happened.
Monday arrived and Larry showed up to the writers' meeting, sat down, and when someone asked what he was working on, he casually replied that he was thinking about doing a sketch about a trapeze artist. Nobody said anything. Everyone acted like the meltdown never occurred. Larry kept his job for the rest of the season. That story should sound familiar because Larry used it almost exactly as the plot of the Seinfeld episode The Revenge, where George quits his job in a rage and then returns pretending nothing happened. That's the thing about Larry David. His real life is so absurd he can just turn it into television. Number 4. He was childhood enemies with Richard Lewis. 3 days apart in July 1947, Larry David and Richard Lewis were born at the same Brooklyn Jewish hospital. Richard played himself on Curb Your Enthusiasm for over 2 decades, but their relationship started very differently. Age 12 brought their first meeting at Camp All-America Summer Camp, and they hated each other. Richard Lewis described it this way: "I disliked him intensely. He was cocky, he was arrogant. When we played baseball, I tried to hit him with the ball." 11 years passed without them seeing each other. Both ended up in the New York comedy scene in their 20s, ran into each other, and didn't even recognize one another at first. Recognition finally came, and that's when they started yelling at each other again. Somehow that turned into one of the closest friendships in comedy.
Well, I have better news for you. I'm leaving you in my will. I'm tweaking it, and you're in it.
No, don't do that.
It's done. You're in.
I don't want to be in it. I have money. I don't need it. Give it to someone who needs it.
When I die, I want you to know how much I care about you.
I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to give it to charity.
You're my best friend. You're getting it.
No, I'm making a Sherman-esque statement about the will right now.
I'm sick of your historical references.
If nominated, I will not run. If bequeathed, I will not accept.
Well, I'm bequeathing.
Well, I'm not accepting.
You'll have to accept.
Don't give it to me.
Don't hurt my feelings.
I'm not going to keep a penny of it.
You're hurting me.
Thank you, but I don't want it.
I'm giving it to you anyway, pal.
Oh, my God. Fuck you.
Lewis appeared throughout all 12 seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm, with his final performance coming in the show's last season. Weeks after those episodes aired, Richard Lewis passed away on February 28, 2024. Number 5. He played George Steinbrenner in A Nun. George Costanza, being a version of Larry David himself, is common knowledge. But the secret roles Larry played on Seinfeld are less well known. 12 episodes featured Larry providing the voice and playing the back of the head for George Steinbrenner, the New York Yankees owner. That gravelly, rambling voice telling George he was being traded to Tyler Chicken came from Larry the whole time. Before Wayne Knight took over the role, Larry was the original voice of Newman. Frank Costanza's cape-wearing attorney was Larry too. Various off-screen voices throughout the series, all of them Larry in disguises most viewers never recognized. But perhaps his strangest role came years later in the 2012 Farrelly Brothers film The Three Stooges, where Larry David played Sister Mary Mengele, a Catholic nun in full habit. The man who created the show about nothing dressed up as a nun for a Three Stooges movie, and that actually happened. Number 6. He brings his own eggs to restaurants. Curb Your Enthusiasm showrunner Jeff Schaffer confirmed this one directly to The Hollywood Reporter. Larry David brings his own organic eggs to restaurants because he doesn't trust restaurant eggs, specifically not wanting eggs, in his words, pumped with antibiotics.
Hey, funny guy, don't bring your own eggs here.
Your eggs are just, they're not organic.
Eggs are eggs.
Eggs are not eggs.
Oh. Are you disgruntled?
No, I am not disgruntled.
Oh, yes. You
No.
always walk around with scowl on your face. And mumbling to yourself. Yeah, that's you.
I do scowl.
Yeah.
And I will admit to muttering.
Yeah.
But I am not disgruntled.
And don't bring bread.
The transportation method makes the story even more Larry David than the original fact. When asked how he carries them, the answer was, "Well, usually I just bring them in a hat. Eggs transported to restaurants in a hat. This is a real thing that the $400 million man does. Number 7. His TV show saved a man from death row. 2003 brought the arrest of Juan Catalan for murder in Los Angeles, and he faced the death penalty. His alibi placed him at a Dodgers game with his 6-year-old daughter at the time of the killing, but proving it seemed impossible. His lawyer discovered that Curb Your Enthusiasm had been filming the episode The Carpool Lane at Dodger Stadium that same night. The production company turned over the footage, and in the outtakes, Juan Catalan appears clearly visible walking past Larry David with his daughter. Timestamps on the footage proved he couldn't have committed the murder.
So I come into the room, and within a minute of me entering the room, the lawyer jumps up, goes, there he is, that's the guy.
I jumped out of my chair and said, roll that back, roll that back.
They walk down the aisle and they go into the aisle just as Larry's coming up the aisle. Larry passes within 6 or 8 feet of him probably, and we were tingly at that point. It was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
And of course, all the videotape has time code on the bottom of it, which is the actual time of day down to the second that it's shot. So that placed him in Dodger Stadium at whatever time that was that he was in the footage.
I remember calling Todd, and he was just like, I could picture his face with a big Kool-Aid smile on his face, you know, and he was just like, you're on the tape, you're on the tape. And I jumped up, I let go of the phone, and just, you know, everybody was like, what the, you know, all the other inmates were like, what's up with this guy, you know?
It's so ironic because in that particular episode that we were doing, Marty Funkhauser, played by Bob Einstein, was arrested for something he didn't do. He had my marijuana because he was wearing my jacket. It was in my jacket pocket.
This isn't even my jacket! It doesn't even fit me! Get your hands off of me!
Charges were dismissed. Catalan received a $320,000 settlement from the city. Netflix turned the whole story into a 2017 documentary called Long Shot. Larry David's take on the situation: I tell people that I've now done one decent thing in my life, albeit inadvertently. Number 8, he discovered he's related to Bernie Sanders. October 2015 brought Larry David's first Bernie Sanders impersonation on Saturday Night Live, and people immediately noticed the resemblance. The voice, the mannerisms, the Brooklyn Jewish energy, all of it seemed too perfect.
You know what? Can I just jump in here? This may not be great politics, but I think the American people are sick and tired about hearing about your damn emails.
Turns out there was a reason. DNA testing on the PBS show Finding Your Roots in 2017 revealed that Larry David and Bernie Sanders are actually related, sharing identical DNA on chromosomes 7, 9, and 11. Various sources describe them as anywhere from 3rd or 4th cousins to 6th cousins once removed. Bernie Sanders found out on camera, and his reaction was, "You're kidding, oh my, that is unbelievable." Later he added, "People say to me, they talk about Larry David, and I say, he does a better Bernie Sanders than I do." Larry now has a dog named Bernie, after the senator. Number 9, his family owned slaves and fought for the Confederacy. That same Finding Your Roots episode revealed something Larry David never expected.
Oh, you did it! You did it! I knew it! I knew it! Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Boy.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, boy. Name of the slave owner, Henry Bernstein. My great-grandfather was a slave owner. Slaves, one female, age 4, mulatto, one female, age 17, mulatto. Oh, Professor, I'm so sorry.
Relatives on his father's side lived in Mobile, Alabama in the mid-1800s. Those relatives owned slaves, and they fought for the Confederacy in the Civil War. A Jewish kid from Brooklyn whose comedy is built on neurotic guilt and social anxiety, discovering that his ancestors were slaveholders, was genuinely shocking. That kind of discomfort sounds like a Curb Your Enthusiasm plotline. So uncomfortable it's almost funny, except it's completely real. Number 10, the Seinfeld money is staggering. The money deserves its own conversation because the numbers are genuinely hard to comprehend. 7.5% ownership of Seinfeld's back-end equity is where Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld each started. By the mid-1990s, they'd negotiated that up to 15% each. First syndication in 1998 brought a deal worth $1.7 billion, with Larry David's share landing at approximately $250 million before taxes. Hulu paid $180 million for streaming rights in 2015, and around $80 million of that went to Larry. 2019 saw Netflix acquire global streaming rights for over $500 million, delivering approximately $75 million to Larry's accounts. Ongoing syndication, DVDs, and merchandise still generate an estimated $40 to $50 million per year for him. Total syndication revenue from the show has exceeded $4 billion, which works out to roughly $17 million per episode. Lifetime earnings from Seinfeld alone for Larry David, at least $800 million. Chris Wallace asked Larry about his reported $400 million net worth in 2024. And Larry's response was, "How about you shut up?"
When Wallace told the comedy icon that he read his net worth is around $500 million, David said this.
That number is so preposterous, okay? Ridiculous.
How about $100 million?
Okay, how about you shut up, okay?
He's disputed the figures for years, pointing out that his ex-wife Lori received half of everything in their 2007 divorce under California community property law. But even half of those numbers represents a lot of money for a guy who once sold defective bras. 2024 brought Larry David's 77th birthday and the final episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm after 12 seasons and 24 years. No Lessons Learned was the finale's title, and the last line of dialogue Larry David ever spoke on the show was, "I'm 76 years old, and I have never learned a lesson in my entire life."
We don't have to learn the lesson, but I'll tell you what, if you want me to participate in this lesson,
yeah.
Okay, here's my 2 cents.
Okay, great. Listen to the man.
I'm 76 years old, and I have never learned a lesson in my entire life. Oh!
Do you think that's helping?
I do.
That's who we don't want to be like, okay? Come on, let's go.
A new HBO sketch comedy series about American history is now in the works, produced in partnership with Barack and Michelle Obama's production company Higher Ground. Obama released a statement saying, "I've sat across the table from some of the world's most difficult leaders and wrestled with some of our most intractable problems. Nothing has prepared me for working with Larry David. Defective bras to dinner with presidents. Sleeping across the hall from the real Kramer to becoming one of the wealthiest people in entertainment. Walking off stage when he didn't like the audience to creating 2 of the most influential comedies in television history. Larry David's career proves something he probably wouldn't admit. Sometimes the most anxious, difficult, and uncompromising people are exactly the ones who change everything." If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more deep dives into entertainment history. And remember, a good compromise is when both parties are dissatisfied. Larry David said that, and he was probably right.